I'm going to close the door.
And action. Hi everybody, it's me, JVR, coming at you with another Theater Thursday. Yay! As you know, every Thursday I do a movie review. This time, as you know, I've been doing like Christmas and wintry type of themed movies. This time I'm going to be doing Frosty the Snowman. I don't have the box thing, but just bear with me, okay? Just chill. No pun intended. Okay, Frosty the Snowman obviously stars this guy named Frosty. He is a living snowman, but we'll get to him in a second. Frosty the Snowman, he was built by these little children in this like little kind of in the middle of nowhere town. You know, just kids being kids. They built a snowman, and but how Frosty came to life was there was this magic hat, and so they put the magic hat on the head, of course, and then then he came to life. He like shakes a little. There's a little bit of magic sparkle, and then when he wakes up, he always says happy birthday. I don't necessarily know why he says happy birthday, but I assume because every time he wakes up, that's technically, I guess, his birthday. And then when he starts moving around and stuff, the kids show him how to like play. So they like ice skate, and they like, you know, they dance and march around and things like that. But obviously, you know, it doesn't last forever. Frosty, you know, they play all through the winter, but obviously winter doesn't last forever. You know, as the time goes on, you know, you see the snow start to melt and flowers start to bloom, and springs and the warmer season starts to come around. And, you know, if Frosty stays, unfortunately, he'll melt, and, you know, unfortunately, he has to say goodbye, and he has to leave. So, but when he leaves, you know, as cue to the song, you know, Frosty the Snowman, this is when the song kind of chimes in. As the song entails, they go through the town, and they see a cop, and like one of those traffic cops, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Frosty the Snowman." And then he's like, talking snowman, that's nice. And then they walk away, and then the cop is like, a talking snowman! And he swallows his whistle, and like every time he breathes out, he like makes the whistle sound. It's really funny. But then, you know, Frosty goes and, you know, with his thumpity thumps, and he goes to live at the North Pole, at least until he can one day come back again, and then, you know, he can play with those kids again. And actually, that day doesn't, you know, it's not that far along. I think it's like a year after that it's come. One day, Frosty is sitting at the North Pole. He's like, you know, I really do miss those kids. And then a newspaper flies into the North Pole, and he reads it, and it says about the town having an early winter. And he's like, hey, that day is today. And then so he marches down from the North Pole to that town, and then he meets all the kids again, and then they do what they did the last time. They ice skate, and they march around, and they play, you know. But, you know, Frosty one day he's sitting alone, and he's lonely, you know. And he's like, well, you know, you all get to go into your homes with your families, and I stay out here because obviously he can't go inside because he'll melt. So the kids all get together, and they're like, you know what you need, Frosty? You need a wife. And then, this is all a separate movie, by the way. This Frosty gets a wife thing. The one that I talked about with when he was built is one movie. That is Frosty. And then this is Frosty's Winter Wonderland. I didn't make that clear. I apologize. But back to what I was talking about. They're like, you know what you need, Frosty? You need a wife. He's like, what's a wife? And they're like, well, it's a woman who thinks you're very handsome. I'm sorry, that's my phone. It's a woman who thinks you're very handsome and you think she's very beautiful, and you spend the rest of your life together. And he's like, wow, what a wonderful invention. And so they build him one. They build a similar snowman, but obviously they build a snow woman. And then they're all bantering about what name Frosty says, oh, she's beautiful. What's her name? And then they all like banter on what kind of name to give her. And then there's one kid, he suggests naming her Winnie Haha, which apparently was a name. I argue with my mom sometimes, like, that's not a name. If anybody you out there thinking about having a kid or you're expecting a kid, do not name her Winnie Haha. You will curse your child for life. Okay? Expert advice. Okay? Jeez, damn these people.
One kid says cornflakes.
Huh?
One kid says cornflakes.
Yeah, one kid does say cornflakes, if you heard that from my mom in the distance. One kid does say to name her cornflakes. I don't know. Moving on. But Frosty comes up with a name to name her Crystal. And then he goes to say hello to her, but she doesn't come to life. Or she's not alive yet. And then they're like, well, why? There's one problem. She's not alive like me. And then they try to make her come to life the way they did with Frosty. Frosty had his hat, so why not give her a bonnet? So they try to put a bonnet, but it still doesn't work. And they all get really upset. And then Frosty, later that night, he gives her these flowers, which are called snow lilies. And he puts them in her hand. And then she comes to life, and then she says, happy birthday. And then he's like, Crystal, you're alive. I've been waiting all day. And then she's like, oh, Frosty, it took an act of true love to wake me up. And, typical love story. But they're like, okay, we're going to have a wedding, right? And then, but there's this one person who tries to, like, ruin their happiness and this joy, and that's Jack Frost. Because he was, like, supposedly the coolest thing, at least until Frosty and Crystal came along. So he kind of wanted to rain on their parade, but Frosty and Crystal's, like, happiness kind of override his antics and him trying to ruin their wedding. And then they become friends, and then Frosty asks him to be the best man because he's, like, the number one symbol of winter. And then they wake everybody up in the town, and then they get the priest. And then he's like, oh, I didn't know you were snow persons. I can only marry real persons. And then so they have to build a snow parson. And then so they build another snowman. And then, of course, they got to bring religion into it. No offense if you're very religious. I'm just not. So it offends me a little bit that they have to push religion into it. But moving on. They're like, oh, a parson's not a parson until he has the God's book in his hand, which he means the Bible. So they put the Bible in his arm, and then obviously the parson wakes up and he says happy birthday, and then they obviously cue the music. We get the Walking in a Winter Wonderland song as they both walk down the aisle, and then he pronounces them man and wife. And then, again, like the last movie, spring starts to come, and both the kids and Crystal and Jack Frost say you can't make winter last forever, So Crystal says, Frosty, we have to go. So then we start the march through the town again. And he's like, and then they bump into that same cop, and then they're like, and he's like, I remember you, the talking snowman. He's like, nice to meet you again. And then Crystal says, hi, I'm Frosty, Snow Wife. And then he's like, Snow Wife, that's nice. And then Snow Wife, and then he swallows the whistle again. We gotta get that guy like a ban on whistles, because he's gotta keep swallowing them. But moving on, and then they go off and they move into the North Pole, and then Frosty's not alone anymore. Yay! But overall, if I had to rate the movie 1 out of 5, I'll give it like a 4.5. It's a good Christmas movie. I don't know if there's like a specific reason why it doesn't get 5. Maybe it's because of the religion thing. I don't know. But out of these two movies really need to be like played side by side, because then you get like the full circle, the full story. But that's my opinion. Watch it for yourself, and you get what you see. What you write what you see. But that wraps up this video. If you have any suggestions, write down in the comments, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!